Hello everyone, welcome to another interesting video. So in today's video we will discuss about the flight announcements, the most critical and most important flight announcement every passenger has listened in their life. So we're going to discuss what is the meaning, the safety reasons, and also why it is very important. So now let's start. So this video is kind of not a technical jam like my other videos, so it is kind of an easygoing video. So let's get started. I'm pretty sure all of you may have heard on the PA system. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We are about to take off. Please keep your tray tables closed, window shades open, and seats in the upright and locked position. Enjoy your flight. Now, this is possibly whatever you can call, but the most, what I say in my way, is the most heard thing I've always heard when I'm on a flight. So now I decided when every passenger has to hear, they has to know the reason behind it. So now let's talk about the reason. So the first one is keep your tray tables closed. Now let me first tell you why the rule even comes into play. During takeoff or landing, this is the window of time where aircraft accidents or tragedies happen commonly. It's not to scare you or anything, it's just for information to keep you viewers updated. And by the way, I have an announcement at the end. So now, if something happens, which is highly unlikely in today's modern technology assisted flying, where automation and pilot skill and etc keeps everything safe, but just to be clear, so if something were to happen, and there is actually one more rule which comes into play here. It is called the 90-second evacuation rule, which basically says that any commercial aircraft has to be evacuated of all people, which includes the pilots and flight attendants, all passengers, within 90 seconds or less. So 90 seconds, if you want to tell it in minutes and seconds, it's 1 minute and 30 seconds, because 60 seconds is 1 minute and 60 plus 30 is 90. So an entire aircraft, including its crew and passengers, has to be evacuated in 90 seconds or 1 minute and 30 seconds. So now, during that 90-second window, it is critical to save many lives as possible. So now what the tray table does, keep your tray table stored. So the tray table opens like this. So if it were open during an evacuation, it would slow down the evacuation process, as passengers have to crawl over or push the tray table out of the way, which significantly impacts the evacuation time. And in the case of an evacuation, every second matters. Now next one is a simple physics concept. If an aircraft were to encounter turbulence during takeoff or landing and the tray table was exposed, and during severe turbulence, now if it may come and hit or the passenger somewhere, or if they're moving, it can hit the passenger. So now we have cleared that. Next thing is keep, I'm sorry, I'm looking there. Seat belts fastened. I've written down in a checklist like to do these things, and I manually tick them like I did in my channel's third year liftoff video. Now, seat belts to be fastened. This is one of the most easiest things ever, and I'll explain it to you right now. Okay, I decided to add this one to my checklist, and then we are going to go to the next one, why seat should be upright. Now, seat belts are there for one reason and one reason only: to keep passengers safe, to keep them in one place, and to prevent anything from happening to them. So during turbulence, seat belts help, when the plane is shaking or wobbling, it ensures the passenger is locked in place, and it ensures the passenger doesn't go forward or hit their head or anything. So now we have talked about that. Now we have talked about why the seat should be upright and locked during takeoff and landing. As I've said, during takeoff and landings, it is the critical window of time where aircraft accidents happen commonly, but it's nowadays becoming rare. So now, as I've said, the 90-second window of evacuation comes into play here also. When a passenger is evacuating the aircraft, when a seat is in the upright and locked position like this, it helps the people in the rows behind the seat to go out of their seats and towards the exit quickly. Now, if the seat is reclined in a position like this, it significantly impacts the amount of space they're getting, and it also impacts the evacuation time more. So now that also equals safety being reached of the passenger. So that is why seat belt should be upright and locked during takeoff and landing, because in case if anything happens, people can exit the aircraft quickly without any problems. Next point. Now this one is possibly even quite sometimes I don't like it when traveling during the day, but it's for safety, so please follow it. Now, why should we keep the window shades open during takeoff or landing when you can close it during the rest of the flight, but it has to be open during takeoff and landing? Now, there are two situations which come into play here, during daytime and during nighttime, and I'm going to explain both to you. So during daytime, passengers complain about the sunlight hitting their eyes on if the aircraft they're sitting on, I mean, the side of the aircraft they're sitting on is directly facing towards the sun. And trust me, I've had my fair share of dealing with the sunlight coming to towards my face. Now, we'll talk about that. During the day, even though when sunlight hits during takeoff or landing, if something happens, the crew needs to be quickly able to see out the window if something happens, for example an engine fire, or if something is wrong with the wing or the wing elements like the flaps or anything, to immediately report to the pilots. So window shades helps them. So when an open window shade, they can clearly see what is the problem and they can report it to the pilots. Now we have talked about the daytime, and please keep your window shades open during takeoff or landing, along with um, keeping your tray tables closed, seats in the upright position. It will help you and your fellow passengers, the crew, every time. Now I talk about night time. Night time is one of the more difficult things here, because outside the aircraft it is dark. Inside the aircraft there are lights. So this is why crews dim the lights for the passengers' eyes to get adjusted to the outside darkness. It is because if something happens, the passengers can quickly see out the aircraft and report to the crew, or if the crew sends something, they can quickly look out the window, and since their eyes would have already been adjusted to that, they would have no problems. And one more thing, once the cabin light is dimmed, our eyes adjust to the darkness outside. This is a physics concept which I have learnt in school also. So once your eyes is adjusted to that, if an evacuation were to happen, the passengers wouldn't suffer from any temporary like adjusting to the outside, and they can clearly exit the aircraft. Now we have talked about everything. So now let's talk about an important announcement. This video is for educational purposes only. This is not to like replicate or whatever is the airline procedures. So please listen to your whatever your flight crew, cabin crew tells, it is for your own safety, and also follow these rules. You and everyone around you will be safe. So thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment, and have a nice day as always.